So we just got out of the state of the industry a little bit ago, obviously covering a lot of the points and some of the struggles that the wine industry has gone through in the past year. But there were some highlights. I want to get your opinion on that state of the industry, what you took away from it.
Yeah, I think the state of the industry today, you didn't hear any surprises about the state of, our industry today. You heard from Jeff Bitter of Allied Grape Growers, who talked about in the last year alone, we removed over 37,000 acres of wine grapes in the state. And that's building on top of, acreage that has been removed in the past. Jeff is still calling for another 50,000 acres to be removed until we kind of meet that market equilibrium with supply and demand. So on top of even vineyard acreage being removed, we saw last year that there were over 300,000 tons of wine grapes that were left on the vine unharvested. And I think that's just a signal that we still need to remove more to kind of meet that market supply and demand balance.
Sure. And there has been some removal. He cited that 50,000 number that still needs to be met. Do you think that's a reasonable expectation for the industry this year?
I think that is a lot of acreage. I mean, we saw 37,500 acreage removed, which is, if you drive up and down the Central Valley, you're seeing vineyards pulled out and piled up at every single corner. So to think about what 37,000 looks like, and then to add more to that, I mean, that is a lot of acreage. And there are a lot of things in play, too. I mean, these are businesses that invested money into vineyards, and just simply removing them when they are still producing is a very hard choice to make, understanding the investment costs that go into planting.
Definitely. There are some hard choices to make. There are also some good aspects of the state of the industry, highlighting, that there were certain sectors of the industry that showed, very good growth last year. So what really stood out to you that you can take away from as a positive from that?
Yeah, I think we heard from Danny Brager that, yes, there are wine brands that are still finding growth, about 35% of the market, some of them growing at double-digit numbers. So there are growth opportunities. I think we are hearing here at Unified as part of the show is remember to be authentic, tell your story, remind people of why they drink wine and what wine is. It is an agricultural product. It is grown from the ground. So I think we just need to take a step back and kind of remember where our opportunities lie. On the vineyard side, you heard a lot of discussions on how do we become more competitive as growers here in California. Same on the wine brand. We at COG, and I know we're going to dive into this, looking at priorities in the year ahead from us, and a lot of them really go into how do we level the playing field for California wine grape growers? How can we ensure that we are competitive here to bulk wine that is coming in from other countries, but also how are our wineries going to be competitive on price from foreign imports. So some of the stuff we are looking into in the year ahead really, I think that is our tagline, is let's level the playing field for growers.
Definitely. And, apart from that, COG has its own priorities that they're looking at for, growers here in California this year, some stuff related to employees, got some bills coming into play here. Let's talk about some of that. You've also got the Pierce's disease program that's coming back for that referendum. What are some of your top focuses for COG this year?
Yeah, I think it is along the lines of leveling the playing field. How do we help our growers become more competitive? At the state level, we're looking into a bill to get a tax credit for ag overtime that is paid. As you may recall, a few years back, the ag overtime law went into place that anything over 40 hours for agricultural workers, you now pay time and a half. So we're looking to get a credit for those hours paid. We've seen many studies come out showing the reduced take-home pay for farm workers due to that ag overtime law. So we're hoping that if there is an incentive for businesses to pay overtime, then maybe farm workers will be able to get more money in their pockets and more hours to be worked. We're looking at other options on farm here at the state level, looking for help in composting on property, and then federally looking at those opportunities to level the playing field. We certainly are not shying away from the idea of tariffs if they can help us at least remain competitive on par with our competitors.
Definitely. A lot of great initiatives there. You're going to want to keep up with what the California Association of Wine Grape Growers is doing to stay up to date on these. if you're in the grape and wine industry. I want to finish off, Natalie, with kind of a unifying message, of course, in the spirit of being at the Unified Wine and Grape Symposium here. What kind of message do you think we can take going into 2025, to unify the industry and ensure that we can still come out as successful as possible?
Yeah, I think actually in the state of the industry, Danny Brager said it, and it obviously ties in very nicely with unified, but he left it saying, let's be unified. And I think it really is going to take our entire industry coming together, and that's realizing that our industry is vast. We are grape growers, we are winemakers, wineries, we are farm workers, we are distributors, retailers, restaurants. I mean, this is a very broad industry that benefits greatly tourism in many regions. So my take-home message would be to be an advocate for the industry, to speak about the industry, and to remind people what buying local means. Something you'll hear a lot from COG in the year ahead is just the farm to fork movement. Somehow it's leaving out the wine industry. We buy local food, we source local food, but somehow we choose to pair it with a wine that is not local. So my take-home message was, yes, let's be unified. Let's all speak together with one voice, and let's just remember that supporting our local communities only strengthens it.